into
I
it.
don't need scissors. They won't even look at me. It really burns me up. The water hasn't changed us. It's washed away our lives to reveal what we always have been.
We have a really bittersweet unboxing
Why did you say it like that?
to do today, because it's true.
It's true. Okay.
It's true. Okay, so you can explain it.
So, as we all know, for those of you who are aware of the Rooster Teeth Company, they are gone at time of recording, I believe, or soon to be. So, with that being said, they were having massive sales on their website for all different kinds of merch, and I was kind of sitting on it a little bit because I wasn't sure. Obviously, I've got a bunch of RWBY merch.
You can't see it, the box is in front. There you go.
So
now
anyway,
we can see your
I happened to get a couple. I happened to get a couple things really, really inexpensively. Like they really just slashed the prices, and at that point, I was like, "Well, now I have to."
Yeah.
But now that we're gonna start reading a new book and move back into villainous after that, I figure I got my RWBY merch, and I haven't unboxed it yet, so we can do an unboxing of RWBY merch and a reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, this came. I believe it was yesterday when I was out, and I was like, "Holy smokes!" It took me everything to not open it yet, because anytime I get
Holy smokes.
every time I get something from like Rooster Teeth or like stuff in general, I'm really excited about it. I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
Jenny has more patience for that, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna behave myself
For now.
for now.
And then she like tears into
I
it.
don't need scissors. There's no scissors here. All right, let's. Ooh. Okay. What do we
Move back a
have
little.
here? Okay. So. Oh, they wrapped it so nice. I'm gonna miss this company so much. I've been getting their stuff for years.
Aww.
So, of course, as everyone knows, I am a massive Weiss fan. Jenny was sweet to get me a Weiss pillow, and she's the best pillow. And, you know, I really like Weiss so much. And now I have another. What? That's so cool. This is from Ice Queendom, the anime that came out. So it's got Weiss here. And what's wicked is the back of the shirt.
That's really beautiful. Okay, that is a beautiful design.
Right?
Yeah.
Ice Queendom was a really good anime. I think you'd actually like it. So we got this.
Over your shoulder.
Over my shoulder. I think all of this is from Ice Queendom because that's what they had.
Because it's like recent.
It's more recent, yes. So this is going to be another really, oh my gosh, it's really cute shirt. And I actually only have, I have a Neptune shirt, I think, from RWBY, but I do not have any other characters except for the main girls. This one is a Nora shirt. Yeah.
Cute. She has hearts.
And like, look at the back. But she's really freaking cute. Like, so the Nora shirt.
Yeah.
On the shoulder you go.
On the shoulder.
Okay, and
You
this.
have a very warm shoulder by the end of this.
A very warm shoulder. Now this, it's usually extremely hot in Florida, but there are some chances when it gets cooler that I do get a chance to wear sweatshirts. And if I don't get a chance to wear a sweatshirt, then Jenny wears my sweatshirts.
Yeah, I
There
like
are
her
sweatshirts,
sweaters.
basically. Holy, that's really, really something.
It's shiny.
So this also is from Ice Queendom, and it's RWBY right here.
Did you expect it to be so shiny?
No, I did not expect it to
It was
be
a
so
sheen.
shiny. Oh my gosh! Okay, this has got a lot going on here. We've got this really cool looking design right here.
Wow.
Looks like rose petals. And then check out the back.
Wow, red like roses.
Actually, this might not be Ice Queendom, but it's RWBY related because I don't quite. Let's see here. I think it's just RWBY. So actually, oh no, it is Ice Queendom. Yes, it's right in the tag. And then check out in the design here on the left or on the right of the camera. You've got this really cool stuff right here too.
On the side.
On the side. On the side.
Yeah.
So that everything goes on the shoulder. And I think this is that same design, but in shirt form. It's a sweatshirt and a shirt, too.
It's a sweatshirt and a shirt, too.
Yeah.
Cute.
But this one's a bit different, actually, on the back.
Oh.
Silver-eyed warrior,
pretty shiny,
says
too.
it right here.
Wow.
Because RWBY's got them silver eyes that are very powerful.
That's neat.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the last of the RWBY haul, that really is literally, oh my god, nope, there's one more RWBY merch up elsewhere. This is going to be a wall scroll, and I didn't know it was going to be this big. I thought it was one of those smaller ones. Ooh. That's exciting. Carefully open it. I just realized I got like RWBY and Weiss stuff. I'm such a white rose shipper. Okay. There she is.
Aww, pretty.
That's a nice size.
Yeah.
I like that the hook thingy moves. You can move it everywhere you want.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There you go. You can hold it.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So yeah, that is the RWBY haul that I have received, and it's just so pretty. That's actually my very first
Roll it back up.
RWBY wall scroll. I've never had a wall scroll before. Yay, roll it back up. So that is the RWBY haul.
Yes.
I'm just so happy with all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, feel the sweatshirt though. It's like really soft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
You'll
put the box
definitely
over
enjoy
here.
that.
You will too.
Oh, me too. Ah!
She rolls away. Okay, so here we have RWBY Fairy Tales of Remnants. That was kindly.
I don't know if they can hear you
to,
facing that way.
Yeah, they probably can. I'm that loud.
A little bit.
I'm that loud.
You're that loud.
That Ash gifted us, which is really kind.
Yeah.
And we actually had an unboxing video with this included months back. We had this, and then we had the Haruka figure over there with her 2 earrings. So this will be pretty cool. I don't know how long this is, so we'll read as much as we can, and this probably won't be as long as Villainess because that book was thick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this will be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So you ready for some RWBY?
Do you want to show the front again?
Sure.
Yay! So this is what the front looks like.
That's what the front looks like. This is what the side
It's
looks
shiny
like.
too.
Everything is shiny, okay?
And I'll read the back before we start.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Read the back.
Okay.
I'm gonna drink
So
some
this
water.
is called RWBY Fairy Tales of Remnant by E.C. Myers and Violet Tobacco. Wow, look how
cover's really-
pretty
yeah,
down
right?
here. There's a fish here, a raven?
Looks like a
bird?
raven. It could be a raven. Yeah.
There's a plant here, a tower here.
I would say that's a raven. Raven's actually very significant in the RWBY
Here's
world.
some kind of like skull with teeth.
Yeah.
And then
That's a Grimm.
a book.
That yeah.
I clearly don't know
That's
about
the monkey
this.
Grimm, I think.
Okay, and then there's different leaves in each corner.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's really beautiful.
It's really pretty. I love the silhouette too, and I love how the gradients of her cape is. All right, what you gonna read the back, babe?
Oh yes, the back. Let's see. Don't miss this gorgeous gift-worthy collection of RWBY fairy tales, straight from the show writers and E.C. Myers. Fans of Rooster Teeth's hit anime series RWBY will want to pore over every page of this gorgeously illustrated collection of 12 short fairy tales, in addition to classic tales from the show, such as The Story of the Seasons and The Two Brothers. Readers can immerse themselves in 8 never-before-told stories from RWBY's show writers. Vibrant artwork throughout completes this collection, offering new insights into the strange, beautiful, and dangerous world of Remnant. This deluxe edition also happens to be the personal copy of Professor Ozpin, complete with a foreword from the former Beacon headmaster himself.
Oh wow.
Fans won't want to miss this must-have collection, sure to reveal more secrets about RWBY and the stunning world of the show. Yay!
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. So, we are gonna start here.
Yes.
We've got this wonderful page right there. And this one too.
Oh, that one's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of pretty according
A
to
lot
what
of
you just
pretty.
read. All right,
Yes.
so table of contents here. We got the warrior in the woods, the man who stared at the sun, the shallow sea, the hunter's children, the indecisive king, aka the king, the crown, and the widow, the grim child, the judgment of Faunus, the infinite man, the two brothers, the story of seasons, the girl in the tower, the gift of the moon. Oh, it's only 88 pages. This is very short.
Wow, look at that. Really beautiful.
Okay, here we go here. Introduction. Remnant has a very long history, and yet we do not know much about its ancient past. We have many questions and never all the answers we would like. But we do have stories, whether they're true stories passed down through the ages or myths defying time itself. Our stories help explain who we are and why we're here. They give us solace when we need it, advice if we seek it, and connections that bind us together as one people. If you don't believe in stories, if you can't accept their truths, then you will always seek and never find. When I became headmaster of Beacon Academy, one of my first goals was to introduce a deeper study of stories that make up the fabric of the world. After all, I'm the first and foremost a teacher. The volume you've been handed has been a pet project of mine. For many years, I have traveled around Remnant to collect these fairy tales, myths and fables from recent memory and distant times. I have discovered in this lifelong pursuit that if you wish to fully appreciate a story, you should consider its source and attempt to unravel and understand the storyteller's intentions. Why did they tell this story? Why now? Yes, stories may be shared for entertainment alone. However, they can also disguise lessons and more guidance. Important historic records, moon-shattering... Oh my god, did he really just say moon-shattering?
Oh.
Moon-shattering revelations, and even dire warnings of hidden dangers in the world and difficult trials yet to come. It may seem self-serving to place this book at the core of the new curriculum at the Huntsman Academies. However, it has also been compiled with the academicies especially in mind. Our students hail from all over Remnant, from our 4 kingdoms, even some outlying regions. Each one brings a unique perspective to their studies, influenced by personal experiences, as well as those lived vicariously through others. I believe it's important and instructive to prove a common frame of reference representing our diverse backgrounds, or diverse. No, it's diverse. No, it's diverse. No, it's diverse.
Oh, diverse.
Backgrounds and cultures for all of us to share. Schools where young huntsmen in training will figure out how the world and will find their place in it. But stories, too, have served this noble purpose since long before the Academy was built. Because an appreciation of history is vital to preparing for our future, I've always found value in continuing through creating school traditions at Beacon Academy. If this collection is embraced as a cherished school tradition, I will be proud to have played some small part in that legacy. There are few things I can be certain of this world, but I do know that stories like those collected here will always endure the illuminate. If we are fortunate, people will continue to tell our stories long after we are gone, and remember us. All above, it is always my hope that you students, as we as people, will take time to listen to other stories, share our own, and hold in our hearts and lessons we've learned from both. Professor Ozpin.
That ending, though.
Yeah, that's Ozpin for you, though.
Let me see it. Aww.
So this is called The Warrior in the Woods, as recorded by Glinda Goodwitch! So Glinda was in, she was in 1, 2, 3. I think she was in the first 3 seasons, and then I think we haven't seen her since season 4. I think they showed a brief picture of her on a television screen when they were trying to rebuild the school. But yeah, Glinda Goodwitch, she's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. I like her. There was once a village on the edge of a lush forest, known far and wide as the safest place in the land. The evil creatures of Grimm had not attacked there since long before anyone could remember, and it was said that the woods themselves protected the people from harm. As long as no one dared to enter the charmed forest, it would be kept monsters at bay. The people went about their days with carefree spirits, and the village gradually grew as more people arrived to live in peace. Over time, the people grew complacent in their ways, taking their fortune for granted and trusting that they would always be safe and happy.
Dun, dun, dun.
The village children began playing games inside the woods, though they never ventured too far. After all, they had never even seen a Grimm outside a storybook. One day, a boy was playing hide-and-seek with his friends in the woods. He ventured farther inside than ever before, farther than anyone would ever think to look for him. He waited and waited alone in the gloomy forest. As night fell, the boy heard the woods come alive with the sound of flapping wings, skittering insects, and rustling leaves. But he had never been afraid of the dark before, and he'd always been curious about the forest. So instead of returning home to a hot meal and a warm fire, he wandered deeper into the trees. The boy soon found his way into the moonlight clearing, and there something found him. He first saw its 4 glowing red eyes, and the stark white of its long, sharp, curved tusks. They were the largest creatures the boy had ever seen, and its pitch-black hair was seemingly made of a night itself. He screamed. The boy couldn't help it, for he had never seen anything like the Grimm. For the first time in his life, he knew fear, and he felt sure he was going to die. The creature whirled on him, fixed on the boy its burning gaze, and charged. The boy froze, throwing his arms up in front of him and squeezing his eyes shut. But then, as he braced for the worst, something shoved him aside. He tumbled away through the loose dirt, stones, and leaves, and when he looked up, he saw a tall, fair woman in flowing black cape, facing off against the Grimm. She gripped a long-handled billhook with both hands. The boy was stunned to see the boar-like Grimm turn to run away from her. The woman charged after it, her bladed staff spinning so fast that it blurred. Just before she caught up to the Grimm, the woman planted the butt end of the weapon into the earth and vaulted feet first into the air. She soared over the creature, and she turned in midair, sweeping the hooked blade down and slicing through the Grimm. It squealed and split in two. When the woman landed, she pivoted to face the Grimm again, but the broken pieces only puffed into thick black smoke and floated away. She spun the billhook once more and holstered it on her back. "Go home. You never saw me," she told the boy as he turned to leave. The boy jumped. "Wait!" he said. His ankle was sprained, but he hobbled after the woman grimacing. She paused and looked back, and was the first time he truly saw her. She was beautiful, as she was fierce. Up close he saw her black cloak was threadbare, its hem tattered, tears throughout mended with fraying red thread. Her loose gray blouse might have been white once, and her leggings were covered in mismatched patches. Her hair was almost as dark as the Grimm's, white hair sticking out as brightly as bone. The metal hook on her weapon was chipped and cracked and was beginning to split, the long wooden handle. "Thank you," he said simply. She nodded and continued to move away. "At least tell me your name," he called, but she disappeared into the trees. The boy limped home. He didn't tell anyone but the warrior woman who had saved him, but he described the terrible monster he had nearly escaped. Those who believed him took his safe return as proof that the woods protected them, but they continued living as they had. But the boy had seen the truth, so he watched the woods with caution, always remembering the woman as he wondered, who was she, and why had she saved him? Was it she that kept the whole village safe? A year later, the boy returned to the clearing woods that he had dared to go beyond. Even during the day, it was dark amid the trees, and after some time, he realized he was being followed. A sense of dread overcame him, and when he looked over his shoulder, he saw two bright yellow eyes flaring in the shadow. He drew a dagger from his belt, only it faltered when the creature crashed through the trees and hollowed before him. This grip had a gruesome bony mask, and it was shaped all over, sharp teeth, sharp spikes, sharp claws. It bounded towards him on four massive paws, its hind legs built for speed and power. The boy raised his dagger, but it was almost useless if he had been armed. He didn't cry out or try to run away. He was frozen and placed by fear. Just then, he saw the woman drop from the tree onto the creature's back and hack it with her billhook. Its handle was shorter now, and the boy saw she carried a sharpener stake made from the other, broken half. When the Grim tried to shake her off, she jammed the stake into one of its eyes, and then she jumped off and watched the terrible dark wolf topple backward and dissolve into a cloud of mist. She retrieved the stake, its tip steaming. "Thank you," the boy said, finding his voice. "You again." She turned her head and walked off.
Yeah, I'm like, why are they coming after him? Specifically.
So how Grimm work is essentially that they feed off emotion. So in this particular thing, there are just aggressive Grimm that will come at you no matter what you are feeling. But so the more scared you are, the more the Grimm will come at you because they sense fear. However, like I said, this is also a wolf, and wolves in general are aggressive. The other one was a boar, and boars are aggressive or based off of boar, so they are aggressive. So I can see that. But there are those Grimm that kind of like, they're a mammoth-like Grimm, and they mostly are very peaceful. But they do feed off emotion. That's the big thing about them. You remember me? I remember everyone I've saved, and everyone I didn't. She paused to look at him. I see you didn't learn your lesson about coming into my woods. Oh, her woods. He held up the dagger. I came prepared. Her laugh was not unkind. So, you're really a slow learner. Dumb comeback. Really. I came looking for you, he admitted. She narrowed her eyes. I don't train people to fight anymore. Oh, she was a trainer. It's not that. I brought you something.
And that's part of it, too. Like, he came out into the woods, right? So that's probably why they're coming after him, too.
Yeah, because the woods are dangerous because of the Grimm. So, essentially, if you're going into the woods... Like, when Yang was looking for her mother, she took Ruby, and she was really young, into I think she had her in a cart. And Yang was, maybe 7 or 8 or something like that, but she was really young. And she went into the woods to find information about her mother, and she found, like, this area, and there were Grimm that were attacking her, and she was saved by her uncle.
Okay.
So they do also just attack you as well.
Okay.
The boy pulled off his backpack and held out to her. She hesitated before coming closer to take it. She wasn't as tall as she had seen before, and there was more white strands in her hair, but she was still proud and strong, and even more beautiful than he had remembered. What is this? She said as she pulled out a bundle wrapped in dark green cloth. Inside the bundle there were 3 blouses like her own, 2 leggings, a black skirt, new boots, a short hooded green cloak.
Aww,
new
that's
clothes,
so sweet.
he said. Well, not new really. They were my mother's. Her brief smile faded. Did she die? The warrior asked. The boy shook his head. No, she's fine. He said, she doesn't wear these anymore. She told me to donate them to someone who needs them, and that's what I'm doing. That's why he went back in the woods. The warrior said, I need nothing, and I can't accept this anyway. Why not? It's the least I can do. The least you can do is leave and never come back. Please, he said. All right, if it'll make you leave me alone. She wrapped up the clothes, nodded at him, and walked away with his gift. Next time you enter the woods, you're on your own. Woo! When the boy returned following year, he was now a young man. He moved quietly through the trees, almost as quietly as the warrior woman, so he avoided any encounters with Grimm, until he had nearly reached the center of the forest. Leaf rustled his head as he paused to refresh himself in the shallow stream. Then he looked up to see 3 oversized, fearsome black owls fixing him their deadly stare. They spread their wings, revealing razor-sharp feathers and deadly talons. The boy drew a long, thin sword, which he had forged himself under the dubious eye of the village blacksmith, who was wondering why anyone would hunt with such a weapon when they could use a bow and arrow or a spear. But the boy crafted his sword with a special purpose, to fight the hate-filled monsters from his nightmares. The savage creatures dived at him, attacking with claws and thundering away with their powerful wings. While he had hoped the warrior would appear, he did not expect it. And indeed, she did not come back to save him. It was a long, clumsy, bloody battle, but eventually the young man prevailed over the 2 beasts. The third swooped at him. Exhausted, he couldn't bring up his sword in time. Then a brilliant white flash flooded the woods. He shielded his eyes, and when the brightness faded, a grim was gone. A moment later, the warrior woman appeared.
Aww.
Was that light? Where did it go? He asked. You're developing a bad habit, she said. He sheathed his sword and grinned. Was it just wishful thinking, or was she happy to see him? She was wearing a clean white blouse with a black skirt, sturdy boots, and a dark green cloak. Her hair was pulled back into a ponytail, and she held her shortened billhook, the end of the broken handle crisscrossed with a red ribbon. I knew you'd come to my rescue, I said. Thank you. For what? I didn't do anything. Didn't you? He raised an eyebrow. You were nearby, at least. I told you I wouldn't save you this time, she said. Fortunately, you did pretty well on your own. Then thanks for watching over me yet again. Not just today, but always. Thanks for protecting all of us for all these years without knowing you're responsible for our safety. Why do you keep coming back here? He looked into her eyes. She snorted. Don't tell me you're in love with me. He blushed. I brought you food. He offered his backpack to her once more. I have food. But she opened the bag and pulled out a parcel after parcel. There were honey cakes and strawberry tarts and sweet biscuits. When she wrapped a stack of fresh baked cookies, her expression lightened.
Is he going to open a bakery?
Was made him happy. She popped a cookie in her mouth and chewed it. I haven't had anything like this in a long time. She started at the delicacy spread out around her.
I mean, I'm guessing that he made them, but maybe he bought them from the bakery.
He got up to leave as she began her feast. Don't come back, she mumbled. I know, he said. But of course the young man came back a year later that day. This time he made it all the way to the center of the woods, and when he found a homely hut, the warrior woman waiting from outside, a small table with 2 seats, 2 cups, and a steaming pot of tea. Oh, we got there this time. Now what do you want? She asked. I was just in the neighborhood and thought I would stop by.
In the neighborhood.
Didn't see any Grimm this time. I cleared them out of this area this morning, she stretched. They'll be back. They always come back. But we have some time. Some time is all we need. He set down the weapons he carried, a new-fashioned sword and a gleaming new billhook with a long, sturdy handle. He sat down across from her as she poured tea in his cup. 2 weapons, she observed. You came prepared this time. I made the billhook for you. He glanced at one leaning up against her door, rope wrapped around the base of the curved blade to hold its handle. That one has seen better days. So have I. She sipped her tea. Why do you keep coming here and giving me gifts? You know, he said, to thank you. You've already done that. No need to keep coming back here. You've saved me each time we've met, and maybe more times besides. I know that you've saved us all. She didn't say a word. He put down his teacup. May I ask you a question? She sighed. Go ahead and ask. I don't promise I'll answer. It's nothing promised. Oh, nothing is promised in life, he said. You've grown a good deal since I first saw you. I had to, he said. My question is, why? Why do you live in the woods alone? Why do you risk your life to save strangers? Why do you protect the village? Why this village? That's 5 questions. But her shoulders slumped. But they all have the same answer. Her voice was soft and sad when she replied, I lived here alone because I am alone. And as a general rule, I don't like people. Most of my own people were killed long ago. My family, everyone I've ever known is dead. And even if there are some survivors like me, they're scattered all over Remant. Killed by Grimm? She scowled. Murdered by other humans. Oh. Damn! Okay. The young man grasped his cup with both hands.
That escalated quickly.
So the tea would warm them. But then, why do you protect others? She looked at him steadily. Because I can. Because no one else will, she smiled. And because some people are good, like you, and that gives me hope. She stood, hefted the billhook appreciatively, and walked towards her hut. Finish your tea, then go, she said. But he had more to say. You spent all these years looking after us, he explained. I thought maybe it would be nice if someone looked after you for a change. He stood to leave. Because that's what I can do. Because no one else will, she smiled. Don't come back, she said. But
she
they
always
both
says
knew
that.
he would.
Yeah.
Over the next year, the village expanded. Oh, there she is again.
Oh, wow, there she is.
Over the next year, the village expanded right up to the perimeter of the forest. Then the people went to the forest and chopped down trees to build more houses, so the village grew while the forest shrank. That was the year that the Grimm returned, attacking them with more frequency and ferocity.
Yeah, I would
People
say
said
so.
the village had broken its promise with the woods. Others suggested that too many people were there and too many emotions that had brought the Grimm back. But one man knew that the Grimm had always been there, out of sight, out of mind, because the village was protected by a brave warrior. He waited until the appointed day for his annual visit, worried about what he might discover. It was a non-stop fight to get to her home.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He dispatched wave after wave of Grimm. He paused at each place that he had encountered the woman on his previous visits and waited, but she never appeared. Finally reached her hut. The bladed staff he made for her was waiting by the entrance as though she had stepped away for a moment. But the door was missing, torn off its hinges. The interior was wrecked. Whether by man or beast, he couldn't tell. It had been abandoned for a while. The warrior woman was gone.
Oh,
He shouldered the warrior's billhook and fought his way back to the village. Soon the people would have to leave and settle somewhere else. Without their guardian, the woods had become too dangerous. But until that day, he would do his best to protect them in her place. Because he could. Because no one else would. Back in the village, around the fire, couldn't quite warm him. He told people of the woman's story, so that they would always know who they had to thank for the many good days they had enjoyed. I wish I could have been there for her, he said. The way she was there for us. If she was dead, she had died alone. Why did you keep going back there year after year? A villager asked him. Because she saved you? For that reason and for many more, he said slowly. But I believe she knew the deepest reason of all. The group waited. He gazed at the fire. I fell in love with her the moment I saw her silver eyes. Oh, she was Silver-Eyed Warrior. I thought so. So, just a little information about Silver-Eyed Warriors. RWBY is a Silver-Eyed Warrior. What that means is her eyes are special, so she can essentially evaporate Grimm with them, right? So, and they're also very rare. And they're also hunted, so when she said her family was, it might have been an entire family of Silver-Eyed Warriors. That is just kind of nuts. Yeah. Ozpin's notes. More than a few huntresses and huntresses cite this story as more of their child's favorites, myself included. There are more fantastical versions of this tale, embellishments with added nothing to its deeper meaning and don't bear repeating. The least believable element is perhaps the notion of any child could grow up in Remant without knowing of Grimm or even encountering them from a very young age. In fact, the warrior in the woods is often used as a cautionary tale, and tend to discourage children from wandering too far from their own home or from relying too much for others to save them. But the most enduring and I think most inspiring aspect of the story is the one which many have taken to heart. If you can help others, it's your responsibility to do so. Whether that means fighting evil single-handedly or baking cookies, for kindness can be as rare as silver eyes. It's up to the reader to decide for themselves, from each according to their own abilities.
What do you think about that story?
That hits home. Especially, like, when she said that people were going after her family, not just Grimm, because there have been people that have also been taken out by humans in RWBY. It's sad, and I knew it was going to have a sad ending, because I just had a feeling. I'm like, he's going to get to a point where he's going to go there, and she's not going to be there. And it's possible she did die, right? So that's kind of left to us to maybe kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, her door was gone.
Yeah.
So either I don't know if she's taken by Grimm, because he didn't talk about, like, any kind of battle with scratches or whatever. So I'm wondering if she was taken by other humans. Which, that's really dark. But then again... You know. Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, this was really good and it was really emotional, but also it was like very interesting because, you know, she's like, I'll save you once, don't come again. And she did keep saving him. And then at the very end when he was like, I'm gonna go see her again. And when it said he was weary when they started to build the village up more, I was like, oh crap. Yeah. So yeah, and as it mentioned, the Grimm feed off emotion. So I don't know. It's curious, right? I think it's really cool too that the book will be like, hey, this is a story from our universe, right? So it kind of like immerses you into this story of world of RWBY.
And his little notes at the end to share what kind of story it is and what he thinks about it.
Yeah, so
it does.
So that was the first chapter. So you want to keep going, or what do you want to do?
Do you want to do one more?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So this will be called "The Man Who Stared at the Sun."
Let me see it too.
By Anonymous. Okay. A farmer irrigating his fields at midday exclaimed loudly about the heat. The sun passed overhead, happened to hear the complaint, and replied, "Just as you have your job, I have mine. Rather than criticize, you should thank me. Without my efforts, all your work would be for naught. I work hard to feed my family, and this unbearable heat makes me work even harder." The farmer mopped his sweaty brow with his handkerchief. "My crops keep drying up, though I water and tend to them every day. Perhaps you're too good at your job. Instead of me doing more, perhaps you could do a little less." The sun flared at the suggestion, and the farmer and his crops wilted under the intense heat. The sun began to move on, muttering, "People should accept responsibility for their own failure." But the farmer called, "Oh, it's a guy. The sun's a boy. Okay, never mind then." The farmer called after him, "I'm sorry, you're right. I couldn't do my work without you." The sun mollified, cooling off the farmer with a relief. "Thank you," he said, "and that's all I wanted to hear. Everyone is always so quick to blame me when it's hot or cloudy, but no one ever bothers to show some appreciation for what I do. They won't even look at me. It really burns me up."
It really burns me up. Oh no.
There's a lot of reasons why you don't look up at the sun, okay? It's not good for your eyes is definitely one of them for sure. That's terrible. People should show you more respect and gratitude. The sun brightened cheerfully. The farmer squinted. We are both proud of our jobs and too stubborn to change our ways, but I have an idea to make things better for both of us. How about a race?
A race?
If you win, you will take special care to give my plants just the right amount of light and warmth for optimal growth for as long as they are tended to by my children and my children's children. And if I win, I, my children, and my children's children will adore and encourage others to celebrate your magnificence. I like this idea, said the sun, but the racing is so exhausting, and we've both been up since dawn. Since you suggested a competition, perhaps I could choose the nature of it. The farmer thought carefully. That seems fair. What will it be? The sun smiled. A staring contest. Are you for real? You don't want to have a staring contest. You don't want to look up at the sun, number one. And you don't want the staring contest. I just mentioned it's bad for your eyes.
It's bad for your eyes.
Oh, no. Is this guy's going to lose his eyeballs? Hi, buddy. I know. I'm okay. I'm okay, Rainy.
He gets worried about you.
Oh, the farmer hesitated. Very well. Let us begin. The farmer slowly lifted his face towards the sun, eyes wide open, and the sun fixed its gaze on him. As hours passed, stinging sweat trickled down the farmer's eyes, but he never flinched and never blinked. Evening arrived, though it was still as bright as day. The farmer's wife came looking for him and was astonished to find him competing with the sun. She begged her husband to come home to dinner. He refused.
Oh, no.
I know, right? Look how upset you've made her, the son said, but the farmer didn't glance away. Nice try, said the farmer. Wait, that's the farmer? Oh, no, nice try, said the farmer's wife, and she gave her husband some food and then took over his work in the fields. Days passed, and the son stayed in place, watching the farmer as the farmer watched him. The farmer's wife and children continued watering the fields around him. Their crops flourished from the sun's attention. I bet watching your children so hard at work would fill you with pride, the son said. I'm proud whether I can admire them or not. Tears trickled down the farmer's cheeks, but he never gave away and never blinked. Weeks passed, and while the farmer's fields thrived and the surrounding region grew lush and green, other crops found the world were dying, deprived of light. For the first time, the sun was failing to do his job. Your farm has never been more prosperous, said the sun. Look around you and marvel at its beauty. I cannot, the farmer said. I'll just take your word for it. Finally, the tug of the duty became too great, so the sun relented. He blinked.
What is our cat doing?
He's playing in the box.
Okay. It's a box. It's fine.
Finally, the tug of duty became too great, and the sun relented. He blinked. You win. I must carry on with my responsibilities. The farmer closed his eyes and covered them with his hands. Remember our agreement, he said wearily. As promised, from now on, your crops will grow better than anyone else's, for as long as you and your people work hard and take care of it. Thank you, the farmer said, and this time he meant it. As the sun began to set, he called back to the men. I knew you would have beaten me in a race because I've seen you run faster than the wind. The farmer shrugged. His semblance allowed him to cross great distances in the blink of an eye. It was useful for managing his expansive farmland, and whether he could get away, he loved to travel all over the saunas.
That's a great power to have.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, too, though, because obviously they have aura and they have semblances, if the aura might protect his eyes. I have no idea, because obviously these aren't, like, regular people.
Right, and, like, if I stared at the sun, I would be in bad shape.
That's why I chose a staring contest, the sun said. Most people cannot bear to look at me for more than a few seconds, so I was sure you would lose right away. I have to know, how did you outlast me? The man opened his vacant eyes and said, I'll tell you from the start of our competition, I was immediately blinded by your splendor. With the damage already done, I kept my eyes open and faked it. Damn, boy! The son was still angry, had been tricked after all, but since the farmer had lost so much he could no longer see his beautiful family, took proudly upon his farm a race around exploring the world, the son moved on and honored their bargain. One can only succeed when one is willing to sacrifice something so important.
Wow.
Maybe actually my time for another one. These are short. Ozpin's notes. The origin of the man who stayed with the sun, often called the farmer and the sun, traces back to Vacchio, which is of course once much more verdant than it was now. One variation on this tale makes the farmer a blind man from the beginning, who tricks the unwitting son into entering a staring contest with him and easily wins. This version has grown in the popularity of Vacchio over the years, perhaps reflecting the increased vague of integrity or ingenuity to surviving there. The way the story is told, many reveal much about the character of the person telling it. Personally, I think the original version more closely represents the hearty spirit of the Vacchio, as the farmer stubbornly makes most of the bad situation. I am particularly fond of yet another alternate take, which offers a simpler yet classical Vacchio twist on the moral lesson. Don't stare at the sun. Thank you, Ozpin!
What do you think about that one?
That was interesting, and I was starting to wonder, too, perhaps this man's eyes were already, like, destroyed because, you know, and then at that point just fake it till you make it. But the sad thing about it is that this man cannot sing anymore. So while he'll be able to have his farm will be prosperous for years to come, he essentially no longer can enjoy the sights of, you know, his wife, his family, or farming, really. Because, I mean, I know a lot of people that have, they can't see, they can still, like, have jobs, move around in the world, but I don't know if you can tend to a farm, like, when you're like that. I'm not sure. So we get another one, because that one was really short. The first one was much longer than this one.
Okay. Do you want to check how long this one is?
Sure.
So that we'll know.
These are very short. Holy crap.
Oh, it's pretty short.
It's like literally...
Okay, let's do one more.
It's literally like 2 pages, guys.
Okay. Do you want to show the picture?
Yeah.
Let me see it too. I want to see.
Looks like a furnace.
Oh, in a ship?
Furnace. The shallow sea. Source, traditional. Long ago, before fish had scales, before the birds had feathers, and before the turtles had shells, when our gods still walked and crawled and slithered the earth, there were only humans and animals, and grim. There've always been grim. There will always be grim. But those creatures don't figure in this story, so just put them out of your mind if you can.
Oh.
The humans lived everywhere across Remant, expecting one small island, which our sacrilegious, precipitous, and most vicarious god protected as haven for animals of all kind. As I hope you will recall, little one, the gods of animal takes whatever form they like, whether they like. They might be a strong-headed ram in one moment, and skittering skink the next. Or perhaps a broad-winged rock, and then quickly as a blink, a fierce lion. Of course, any combination of any beast under the sun, so that they might even have a head of a lamb, the body of a boar, and the feet of an elephant, and the wings of a wyvern. Their form shifts like a changing thought, like flowing water, and if you look away, remember, you should never look away from a god. You might miss a beautiful blending that will never cease to exist again. Anyway, the god animals cantered and borrowed and fluttered all over Earth, admiring creatures as they had gathered on this island and seeing that it was good. But the thing about Sicarius, Prosperius, and indeed vicarious beings is that they tend to get bored, and despite the excellent company of every kind of animal the god was curious about, the only living thing absent from the island, humans. No, not
humans.
Grim. Grim are not alive in the usual sense, nor does anyone want them. Please do not put them out of your mind if you can. The gods of animals are fascinated with humans, and their ability to create things to adapt to new situations, and indeed to change themselves, almost as readily as a god could change their spots.
It does say, it says, please do put them out of your mind.
Yeah,
okay, yes.
Please do, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's okay.
But they know that humans could be ruinous. Inviting humans to their island would be inviting trouble. No, it could not, nor be. It would never happen. But the god was stubborn as a bull and crafty as a fox. Perhaps if they found some very special humans, one who truly belonged to the island, they could find a way to keep them there. The god of animals toured the continents of Remnant, visiting every town and village of every kingdom, searching for those who were perhaps just a little bit more than human. Their eagle eyes sought out the misfits and outcasts who didn't fit in where they were perhaps, because they truly belonged somewhere else. And the god who could change the shape at will assumed the awkward form of human and walked the earth in their constricting clothes and cramped shoes. When they found someone they wanted, they whispered and planted one thought: leave. Sail to the shallow sea. It's where you're meant to be. The god of animals arranged for a great ark to make its way across the ocean of Remant. It dotted each kingdom and picked up those humans who longed for a change, or felt they weren't welcome among their own people, or had never felt comfortable in their own skin. The ark, loaded with the chosen people, sailed down, down, down the shallow sea, and when it reached the sea, it sailed around the island. The people grew uneasy as they observed a harsh desert stretching from coast as far as the eye could see. They became unsettled as they took note of a diverse wildlife along the shores. Were you wondering whether there were any Grimm on the island in those days? As I've told you, Grimm do not figure into this story, and I wish you would clear them from your mind. Listen, bro, I'm not even thinking about Grimm, okay? This barren land is no place for us. We should turn back, the people said. I want you to see all of this land for what it is, the god of animals said. Trust me, you do belong here if you're willing to work for it. But then the ark rounded the cape to the southern shore, and the hunters, or humans, saw that there was paradise. The god leapt from the ark and splashed into the water, which only reached to the waist. As stood there, they shed their human form and took on the horns of a ram, the tail of a monkey, and the scales of a serpent. This could be your home if you want it. You're right, there is no place for mere humans, but you are no mere humans. If you jump from the boat, you will join me and see. The people with the strongest faith leapt from the boat immediately and splashed into the shallow water towards the shore. Those who stayed behind on the boat watched their brethren transform before their eyes. Oh, is this how the forest was created? Each of them acquiring an animal trait: ram horns, rabbit ears, cat ears, monkey tails, and more. By the time they reached land, they were something new to Remnant, both human and animal at the same time. This land is no less hospitable than where we came from, but the people on the beach said, but we're here, at least we have control of our fate, free from the influence of others. More people in the boat emboldened by the miracle they had witnessed, jumped onto the water. They followed the others to the shore of the island, each of them changing in the process, taking animal features of their own: leopard spots, lion manes, lamb ears, pig snouts, crocodile scales, and more.
Wow.
The final group of people on the boat hung onto the railing. "What have you done to them?" they cried. "They didn't do anything to us," the people on the shore called. "The water hasn't changed us. It's washed away our lives to reveal what we always have been, just under the surface. Our old forms are just shallow disguises. This is who we are."
Wow.
A few dozen more people on the boat were convinced. They dropped onto the ocean, and though they transformed most slowly, by the time they stepped out of the water, they too had become their true selves and were welcomed onto the island. But the small group remained on the boat, were too horrified or afraid to take the leap of faith. "What kind of monster are you?" they shouted at the god of animals. The god's heart hardened against these people. "You are my chosen ones, but you have disappointed me. You may stay on the boat or return to your home. There is no place for you here." And with that, the ocean current swept the ark away with the humans.
Wow.
The sea revealed the shallowness of their thoughts, the god told their chosen people, without them ever stepping off the boat. From the moment there have been animals, humans, and faunus, and the descendants of the humans who turned away from God's greatest gift always carried envy in their hearts. To this day, they resent us for reminding them of what they are not and what they can never be.
Ooh, goosebumps.
Osbin's notes. Although this fable was once among the most common stories told to Faunus children, it has never been written down before its appearance here. Not only by Faunus and certainly not by humans. I seriously consider that to those who include it. But it provides a lovely and I think a necessary counterpart to the judgment of Faunus. Also, this collection I felt is more important to record. I humbly request forgiveness if I am perceived to have overstepped myself in any way. Know simply that I have deeply respect for the rich history of Faunus and wish to represent them among the stories of Remant. As Faunus stories are greatly passed down from generation to generation, few outsiders have ever heard them, and that everyone that does a disservice. We must be exposed to the stories of people from all kingdoms and cultures, humans and Faunus alike, if we hope to make progress in understanding one another. That said, we must take care not to characterize the shallow of the sea as a mere story, for there is much more to Faunus. I do not wish to subject to the literary critiques I might bring to another tale. The story is key to the Faunus identity, and therein lies the chief value. However, I will note that many humans and even Faunus view the story as mere fantasy, a fanciful creation myth, and perhaps even a dangerous one. In the aftermath of the Great War, when the Faunus settled on Menagerie, the story of the magical island made just for them has become tinged with bittersweet irony. Consequently, the story has fallen out of favor, and I understand this rarely spoken these days. This too influenced my decision to record it before it lost its prosperity. Here I'll remind you that this is a story. Dare I say every story told may still hold a kernel of truth, even if the plot details are contrived. Whatever the criticism laid upon, the shallow sea, in my opinion, still holds deep truths about humans and Faunus that everyone should take time to consider.
Wow.
This is pretty deep.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, boom.
Yeah.
Do you want to put the...
Oh, yeah, we can put the fancy.
Yay.
Yay. Oh, we'll have to now hold it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, like, this has been really cool to see it. And of course, again, these are stories, so, like, it could technically be part of why Faunus became Faunus. I think, actually, it's been a bit. Was it volume 7 or was it volume... I think it was volume 7 that they actually had shown how, like, so basically there's Ozpin and then there's Salem that you know of. And it kind of showed how they became to be. But it also showed, like, how Faunus became Faunus, I do believe, as well. I mean, quite frankly, it's always a good time to rewatch RWBY. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But I really do like this book. It's really good so far. And these stories are really good. They got a lot of feels to them.
Yeah. As you know, I'm not in on all the RWBY knowledge or anything like that.
Not yet!
Not yet! But I still really enjoy having it read to me. Yeah, I like the stories too.
Yeah, they're really good, actually.
They're all quite different.
They are, and that's what I like about them. Like, you did have the first one with the Warrior Woman, and I was like,
I like that one a lot.
And I like that one a lot too, because it also talked about, like, the silver eyes, and that's how rare they are. Because RWBY, like I said, has silver eyes, and she has that power.
Yeah.
And I believe her mother also had silver eyes too. But silver eyes are very, very rare because of how damaged they can be to Grimm, right? So that's why there's just not that many of them. And if they are, there was this one in the show. And because her silver eyes cost her her eyes. Because they cut her eyes out, I believe it was. And she had to get, what are they called? Oh, God, implants instead. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But she said that she was very cocky and she used her power so she was, like, had a target on her back, so to speak. So yeah, they would always come after her because silver eyes are you know, they're very valuable too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, pretty interesting to note on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked hearing about the silvered eyes. I
Yeah.
thought the one in the farmer in the sun, that was kind of like, whoa. And I was like, dude, this is so bad. And that guy sacrificed so much so he was able to have his farm be prosperous forever. And now it's unfortunately, he just can't see anything anymore, right? He can still like live his life, but he just doesn't have the ability to see his beautiful family anymore. And his beautiful crops, which he was very proud of, right? So that's unfortunate. And then this one too, with the one we just read too about the faunus, I think is very interesting. So I'm definitely excited. Was it 3 chapters we read? Yeah, I think it was 3 chapters. I'm excited
You
for
called
more.
it earlier, like, is this where faunus come from? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, here's this god, like, taking on a human appearance, but yeah, is an animal god. Okay, now these people are going to be on this. It's very interesting, right? Because they go on the ark, and they go to this island, and they jump in the water, and they become their true selves. So I think that's very interesting.
That really is.
I also like Ozpin's notes. I find that that's really good, because it really does, again, immerse you into this world. You're like, okay, well, I included this because of this reason.
It makes it more personal.
Yeah.
It's like, you could imagine a little academic uncle or grandfather writing some little notes for the stories.
He's got his spectacles like this. Ozpin himself, he's a very interesting character, and like, I'm gonna get you to watch it, so I don't want to spoil it, but there's a lot more to him than meets the eye, right? And when I remember watching RWBY, I was like, there's more to this headmaster than just that. And when you learn about the origin, you're just like, damn, okay, I got you for sure. Because as you know, RWBY is based off other kinds of characters. So you have, you know, the Wizard of Oz, Ozpin. You have Glinda Goodwitch, who is like, you know, Glenda. And you have, you know, I don't know what Salem represents, honestly.
Salem?
Yeah, her name is just Salem. I'm not sure about her, but Ruby's based off like Red Riding Hood, and you have Yang based off of Goldilocks, and so Blake based off the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, right? Weiss is based off Snow White. So it's kind of cool that they take like these other kinds of things and they incorporate them, you know, into the story of RWBY. It's done really well. So yeah, there's a lot more to Ozpin for sure. Cinder is based off Cinderella. But like Cinder is antagonist, so it's kind of interesting, right? Yeah. It's
antagonistic Cinderella.
Yeah, damn it. Is Salem? Now I gotta figure who Salem's based off of, because that's the only character I can't think of.
Maybe someone watching will know.
Yeah, possible.
If you know, then
but
let us know in the comments.
it's a tragic story though between Ozpin and Salem, and it explains like why Salem is kind of the way she is because of things that happened to her. So yeah, we'll have to give it a watch so you can be introduced to. Yeah, go ahead.
Were you finished? I think you were about to finish. Okay. Speaking of tragic stories, the first 2 stories were more tragic, right? The first one.
Yeah, you had the one with the boy who grew up and he wanted to be with the woman, the warrior woman, right? And unfortunately couldn't be because she's gone. Probably is dead. And then now he's.
And then the second one with the son, and I mean that one kind of, it's like a give and take, right?
It's a give and take.
So he got something, but he had to give something. But then it was the third one that wasn't really a bad ending.
Not really. Although, unfortunately, in the world of RWBY, there is such a high distrust between the faunus and humans. So they really don't get along very well. There's like there's parts of them that do, and then there's parts of them that don't. So there's like the White Fang, which is bad, and then there's the other side of that, which is the good side. And then of course there's the human. So it's kind of interesting because, you know, and they've had pretty bad, and they do actually, Blake is from Menagerie, and that is a really like huge island, well, huge in terms of what they have, because she's like basically a princess kind of, or a chief's daughter. So she's basically like royalty. So yeah, they've had to struggle through a lot of things. So it's kind of interesting to see this, that even though Ozpin said it, he said it himself in the notes, like, yeah, it's still not great between the humans and the faunus. Weiss's dad, the absolute shite lord, he does not like faunus, and he makes it very apparent. And people with Atlas, some of them don't like them either. So there's definitely that kind of issue for sure.
It's like a prejudice.
It is a
against
prejudice.
each other.
I remember, I think it was volume 6, it could be, that there was a thing with Blake, and they were trying to get Weiss back home, and one of the generals or whatever of the of Atlas was basically like, questionable friends, and I was like, damn girl, nasty. Yeah, and Weiss was pissed because the thing about Weiss is too is that she was brought up in that way. So for a time she didn't like faunus, and so she grows a lot when she accepts them, right? Because the White Fang has done some serious stuff to her family because she's a Schnee, which is also a target on her back. So there's both losses on both sides. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It's so much to read. There's so much.
Yeah. I any other thoughts about the book?
I can't wait for more.
Yay.
We've got about quite a bit more to go, but these chapters are short. Like the first one was very long, right? The first one was quite a few pages.
It was the longest of them.
And out of the 3 so far, the last one was the shortest because it was only a couple pages. The second shortest one being the sun one. I do feel bad for that farmer though, man, because even his semblance like lets him go. Man, he should have raced. He couldn't because the sun's like, nah, we're not doing that. But it was really interesting too with the sun situation because like while the sun was having a staring contest, everything else was like dying because the sun wasn't able to. Yeah, it's kind of wild, right? Because you see the sun everywhere, right? But yeah, if the sun is preoccupied, then everything else just wilts. Yeah, with some dark stuff. So you enjoy it so far? You like it?
I did. I like that there's a variety of different kinds of stories.
Yeah, I like that too. I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, it does say like the fairy tales of Remant. But, like, how many fairy tales? There's 8 fairy tales.
And the stories do remind me of the Grimm's fairy tales.
Yeah, which...
They have that same kind of quality.
It's funny you mention that, because the brothers are the brothers of Grimm.
Oh!
Yeah, so there's a lot of inspiration from that as well.
Okay.
Which you can tell, obviously.
I read Grimm's fairy tales on my own, like, summer reading when I was in high school. Yeah, I think it was early high school days. And so I did enjoy reading those.
And this is the shattered moon right here, and there's a reason as to why
that's why you mentioned that?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. But you don't find out for a long time and why the moon is shattered. You're just kind of like, and then what happened? You're like, oh, that's how it happened. Because you do get to see it whole for a time, and then you see it shatter, and you're just like, wow, all right then. Because everyone want to know, why is the moon shattered? This is why. I won't spoil it. But anyway, it's so good, though. Yeah. It's so good, though. I'm excited to read more of it.
Yeah, any other thoughts or only that?
That looks like the weapon.
Oh,
the hook.
I did notice, up here is what she's pointing to. I'll put it, like, close
the bill
to
hook.
The camera. Yeah, right here is the hook that she was using as a weapon, the warrior. And then down here, the fish, let me point over here. The fish, that was in the beginning of the last story you told. Yeah. They had that, like, at the top of each page.
Yeah.
Let me show.
It's really pretty. We didn't have so many pictures this time around for this chapter.
To get it
or
in
even
the
the
right
last
way.
chapter, really, but it was really pretty.
So it's like over here. Yeah. So I did notice that from the beginning. Yay! Alright, well, I'm looking forward to hearing more stories.
Yes!
Yeah, thanks for reading for us.
Yeah, of course. It's always fun to read. Story times!
And thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed watching this read through with us, then drop a heart emoji in the comment section below. Look forward to connecting with you again soon, and we will be sending so much love. Till next time.
Laters!